All praise is for Allah alone, the Lord of the seen and the unseen. Peace and blessings be upon his final messenger Muhammad. Today's reminder addresses one of the most painful and dangerous crises affecting the Muslim Ummah today, the collapse of modesty. Modesty is not a small virtue in Islam. It is the foundation of a believer's character, the shield of the heart, the beautifier of the soul, and the protection of society. When modesty collapses, faith collapses with it. The Prophet said, "Modesty is a branch of faith." Sahih Bukhari. And he also said, "When modesty is lost, then do whatever you wish." Sahih Bukhari. Meaning, when a society loses its sense of shame, sin becomes normal, evil becomes entertainment, and corruption spreads openly. This reminder will explain how modesty is collapsing, why it is happening, what Islam teaches about modesty, and what we must do to revive this essential part of faith. 1. What is modesty in Islam? Modesty, Haya, comes from the word meaning life. Scholars say, modesty brings life to the heart. Without it, a heart becomes spiritually dead. Modesty includes lowering the gaze, decency in clothing, purity in speech, humility in interaction, avoiding vulgarity, respecting gender boundaries, guarding the heart from sin. Allah commands, "Tell the believing men to lower their gaze and guard their chastity." Surah An-Nur 2430. Immediately after, "And tell the believing women to lower their gaze, guard their chastity, and not display their beauty except what is apparent." Surah An-Nur 2431. These verses show that modesty is a duty on both men and women. 2. Modesty as a sign of true faith. The Prophet said, "Every religion has a characteristic, and the characteristic of Islam is modesty." Sunan Ibn Majah. This means modesty is not optional, it defines a Muslim. When modesty disappears, faith weakens, shaitan gains power, society becomes corrupt. Islam teaches that modesty is a shield protecting the believer from sin. 3. The collapse of modesty in today's Muslim society. The collapse is happening slowly but clearly. It appears in many forms. A. Collapse of modesty in clothing. Clothing is becoming tighter, shorter, more revealing, or designed to attract attention. The Prophet warned about people who are clothed yet naked, covered but still revealing. Sahih Muslim. This applies to men and women who wear clothing that exposes the body shape or attracts unhealthy attention. B. Collapse of modesty in speech. Vulgar jokes, flirtatious conversations, sexual humor, mocking others, loud, shameless behavior. The Prophet said, "A believer is not one who is vulgar or shameless in speech." Tirmidhi. Yet today, foul language has become common. C. Collapse of modesty on social media. Posting pictures for attention. Sharing private moments publicly. Using filters to beautify the face. Acting in ways one would never act in public. Displaying lifestyle for likes. Seeking validation through appearance. Many Muslims have unintentionally become part of an online culture that destroys modesty. D. Collapse of modesty in gender interaction. Casual chatting. Private messaging. Unnecessary conversations. Friendships with the opposite gender. Laughing, flirting, or sending compliments. Allah says, "Do not be soft in speech, lest he in whose heart is disease be moved with desire." Surah Al-Ahzab 33:32. Yet today, such behavior is normalized. E. Collapse of modesty in entertainment. Movies, dramas, music videos, TikTok trends, dance content. The eye becomes desensitized to shamelessness, and what once shocked us has become normal. 4. How the collapse of modesty destroys society. Islam teaches that modesty protects individuals and societies. When modesty collapses, several dangers appear. A. Rise of temptation. Immodesty leads to zina of the eyes, zina of the heart, and eventually zina of the body. The Prophet said, "The eyes commit zina, the hands commit zina, and the private parts confirm it." Sahih Muslim. Immodesty is the first step. B. breakdown of family structure. Immodesty weakens marriages. People compare spouses with edited images, actors, models. This creates dissatisfaction, jealousy, and infidelity. C. Normalization of sin. When modesty disappears, sin becomes entertainment. When sin becomes entertainment, it becomes normal. And when sin becomes normal, it becomes celebrated. D. Loss of barakah. Immodesty invites Allah's anger. A society that loses modesty loses barakah in wealth, relationships, and spirituality. E. Mental and emotional corruption. Immodesty floods the mind with lust, comparison, insecurity, addiction, and dissatisfaction. It destroys innocence and purity. 5. Why is modesty collapsing? A. Western influence. Fashion, music, entertainment, and culture openly promote shamelessness. B. Social media pressure. People want to be admired, noticed, validated, and desired. C. Weakening of faith. When Salah, Qur'an, and remembrance of Allah decrease, modesty collapses. D. Broken homes. Lack of parenting, guidance, Islamic environment leads to moral decay. E. Shaitan's strategy. Shaitan beautifies shamelessness and mocks modesty. Allah warns. Shaitan commands immorality and evil. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:268. 6. Modesty of the Prophet. The Prophet was described as more modest than a maiden in her private room. Sahih Bukhari. He lowered his gaze. He softened his tone. He never spoke vulgar words. He never stared at women. He avoided gatherings of shamelessness. His humility was the peak of modesty. 7. How to restore modesty in our lives. A. Strengthen your iman. Modesty grows from the heart. Revive Salah, Quran, Dua, and Dhikr. B. Lower the gaze. This is the first protection. C. Practice modesty in dress. Wear clothing that does not expose shape or attract attention. D. Speak with dignity. Avoid flirtation, vulgar jokes, and shameless comments. E. Limit opposite gender interaction. Only when necessary and always with dignity. F. Clean your social media. Unfollow shameless content. Stop posting immodest photos. Protect your heart from unnecessary display. G. Stay around modest people. Your company shapes your character. 8. Final warning. The Prophet said, modesty and faith are together. When one is removed, the other is removed. Al-Hakim. If modesty dies, faith dies. Conclusion. Modesty is not old-fashioned. It is not cultural. It is not a burden. It is a gift from Allah. It protects your dignity, beauty, heart, relationships, and akira. May Allah revive modesty in our hearts, our homes, and our communities. If this reminder benefited you, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with others so they may also benefit.